Whoa, it feels weird talking about movies that have similar characters but have entirely different stories. It reminds me of Immaculate and The First Omen. So, The Bride is Maggie Gyllenhaal's take on The Bride of Frankenstein. At its surface, this is the story about how Frankenstein's monster wants to find a partner with whom he can live out all the great things humans get to experience. He wants a connection with someone. I do really love the condition or question this movie poses, which is what would the dating world look like for Frankenstein, or rather the son of Frankenstein, in the 1930s? Turns out, it's pretty shitty. You can immediately tell this is nothing like Del Toro's Frankenstein. It's edgy and funky and audacious, while Del Toro's Frankenstein takes itself so much more seriously. One thing I can say I really appreciate is that this movie does something that Leigh Whannell was able to do masterfully in my opinion, which was to have a reimagination of a classic instead of being a one-for-one remake. Instead, it opts to be something totally different than the original. It shows a certain level of reverence for the original material and how movies like Claude Rains' Invisible Man or the original Bride of Frankenstein don't need a remake. They still stand on their own as great, timeless films. The number one highlight of this film is Jessie Buckley. She's giving the performance of a lifetime. She's tragic, she's funny, she's weird and a bit scary, but her aura is so strong that you can't help but be fascinated by her. She manifests so many powerful emotions like anger and frustration, but also joy and excitement, and she does it in a way that seems very appropriate for what the story the film is trying to tell. She also does this thing where she's talking normally and then she'll randomly talk with a British accent since she's basically possessed by Mary Shelley for half the time. So it basically breaks the fourth wall, except everyone in movie is aware of it, and it's an insane acting feat. And that opening was perfect. It was wild and fun and insanely creative, and it really showed the potential Maggie has as a director, and that she's confident in the idea she has, even if it ends up feeling misguided. Christian Bale, to no one's surprise, is doing a solid job here, and even though it's not his best performance, you can tell that he understands the director, and most importantly, he understands what she wants out of him. I love how this Bonnie and Clyde energy of the film really lets him realize that fantasy that he's had for so long. He's literally learning more about himself throughout the course of the film because all of it is new to him. Yes, there's this longing that he has for a partner, and he even admits to having that physical attraction to her. But I think what's most important, and in line with one of the themes of the film, is that what he wants most is her mind. I will also say how rude of this movie to show how if there was a sequel that deserved to be made for Joker, this is what it would look like, even if it shares similar problems. This movie has a lot to work with and has plenty of fascinating and thought-provoking ideas, but ironically enough, it wasn't able to sew everything together in a cohesive way. The themes and ideas were extremely human and about loneliness and identity, and those are very prominent themes in the world of Frankenstein and in the real world. But it almost felt like the movie bit off more than it could chew. It got lost in the weeds of its own ideas, and instead of being this compelling and empowering story, it came off really unfocused and sloppy, and metaphorically, it didn't know how to finish a sentence. I love when a movie is bold and audacious enough to be weird, but it should still have a purpose. The movie doesn't know if it's about voyeurism or glamorized violence or something completely different. Unfortunately, yes, this movie is stronger than Joker 2, but its chaotic screenplay and undeveloped plot points also hold this movie back. It has all of these ideas and topics, but all of it feels quite shallow, and honestly, it feels like a missed opportunity. It's like you work your way to the stage with a mic, but when you finally get there, you have nothing to say. There's a line in the movie that perfectly encapsulates every intention this movie has, but because of that line, you realize how ill-prepared the movie is to explore it. By the end of the film, Ida says, "I want so much," and it's terrifying. What an insane line, which is horrifying but also quite beautiful as well. Yet by that point in the film, you realize the movie only knows how to show you the dazzle, the desire, and edginess of it without the horrifying parts. It's miles away from evoking the level of fear required for that to be the thesis of the film. The topic of men is also handled so poorly because it makes it seem like there's only two versions of men. The weirdos that want to possess women through voyeurism, hence the amount of times we visit a movie theater in the film, or the low-life monsters that actually assault women. Skarsgård was essentially in this movie to break the fourth wall and spoon-feed the message Maggie wanted to give to the audience. Yet the movie romanticizes Frankie as this tragic hero, but he also was manipulative and was trying to mold her into being, well, his bride. And regardless of that, Ida was still a damsel in distress because she had to constantly be saved by him. Despite the first half being really charming and engaging, at the halfway point, once Sarsgaard and Penelope Cruz enter the fray, everything just untangles. The pacing of the film was also quite clunky to say the least. And it's okay to add some absurdity in a story, especially that wants to be so impactful, because it helps with levity and it allows itself to not feel so lecturous. So having a scene where everyone breaks into a dance for no real reason is fine if it keeps the quantity of random scenes under control. At the minimum, it helps with the punk rock aesthetic that the film is going for. But too many arbitrarily placed moments make this movie feel way too chaotic, and it doesn't allow the movie to deliver its message in a meaningful way. Oh my god, that mafia subplot was the most useless and uninteresting thread that came out of this movie, and ultimately, it did nothing for the story. I literally don't think Frank and Ida ever realized they were being hunted by the gangsters. Despite the Bonnie and Clyde parallels, I wish the chemistry was much more palpable, since there was plenty of times in the film where I just was like, I'm not feeling it. It doesn't feel like they ever get past the curiosity stage of a relationship. While I didn't love the final product, I can see this getting cult status at some point, which is a good thing. It's just, it could have been so good. But that's it for me. I'd appreciate a thumbs up, subscribe, and sincerely yours, Anthony.